Hello there! Today we're going to be taking a look at the Legacy United Doom and Destruction 2-pack with Bludgeon and Rukus. Not that Rukus. It comes in a box, of course, as all figures should. The box art is pretty cool. Nice box art, nothing too special, but I always dig them having artwork. And, of course, you just open up the figures, and inside they're on a bland cardboard tray, so it's nothing special. Now, taking a look at the lesser of the two remolds, we have Bludgeon here, who is sporting an interesting, what I can call mustard and avocado color scheme. It certainly was a choice. It took me a little bit of time to get used to this color scheme, and while it's actually not that bad once you actually get used to it, out of the box it was quite surprising to see. But as you can see, he is a remold of Legacy Tarn, and by extension, Legacy Bludgeon as well. But this time, he is sporting some new parts. Of course, he now has his new IDW head sculpt, which the wires, unfortunately, on this figure end up looking like he's just kind of got a mouthful of spaghetti, especially with the yellow color that they went with on the figure. But I think that overall, once you start getting used to it, it's alright. The other new stuff is, of course, his chest, which is completely swapped out from the Tarn and previous Bludgeon mold. Nice golden yellow throughout, as well as this red and, of course, a very sharp Decepticon logo. And it's not made out of clear plastic this time. And in what I can only describe as a very unique use of the retooling budget, he got his crotch remolded. I don't know why, but he now has a longer crotch. It's probably more accurate, but I'm kind of surprised that they used the budget on remolding that of all things. But hey, it's a remolded section. I'll take what I can get, I guess. Now, of course, being a remold of Tarn and Bludgeon, he does come with his cannon, which does, of course, just split up into two guns, which you can always just place on his arms here, or attach to this central section here, and slap onto his arm to give him the Tarn cannon. It looks very cool, but it doesn't really fit Bludgeon, of course, because, I mean, it's not really much of an arm cannon user. So you can always just take this off, and if you just swap the guns around, like so, you can just slap those onto his back, and there you go. That is more of a Bludgeon-ish look with nice cannons on his back. And, of course, he still comes with his sword, and that, of course, just slots into his hands, so you can have nice slashing action. I mean, what's a Bludgeon without a sword, right? And, of course, it does help that this figure has some very nice posability, so this sword very much is a nice accessory to have on such a nimble character. And speaking of posability, let's get this guy's posability out of the way. The head, of course, can look up and down. If you untap it, he can look up a solid amount. Can look down ever so slightly, and of course just free spinning head as always. These shoulders are on trigger happy hot rod shoulders, and of course the shoulders can rotate the full 360. You've got a swivel right above the elbow, and then the elbow has a 90-degree joint, but you also have this weird joint inside here, which is for transformation, but it does help you get across the chest, kind of like a butterfly joint, so you can get some sword holding poses like that. The wrists are on swivel joints, and the hands have a hinge joint for the fingers. The figure does have a waist swivel. Now the hips, they can go all the way up like that, all the way back for the full range. And of course, the beautiful spread. Now, of course, you also have the swivel at the thigh. Now for the knees, you have the initial knee joint, which already gets you over 90 degrees, which is very nice. But you can also activate the transformation joint and get a completely unrestricted knee bend, which, I mean, you don't need any more articulation than that at that point. Now, for the feet, you have a rather limited ankle tilt, all things considered. For how well articulated the rest of him is, I'm kind of disappointed by this. But, thankfully, you also do get an up and a down for the foot. Overall, I would say this is a pretty solid figure, both posing-wise and as a general remold of Tarn. Of course, the only unfortunate thing is it carries over the same issues as Tarn, but you can kind of see why they didn't remold as much of him when we get to take a look at the other guy in this set, and that would be our good old buddy Rukus here. Not to be confused with the uncle that I can't really mention here. Now, this guy is who ends up eating up most of the remolding budget, because, believe it or not, this is Beachcomber. I would say it's a pretty significant remold. Now, getting into this. He is a lovely tan and purple combo. As you can see, he has the nice solid tan torso, and I do mean solid. Pretty much the whole thing is just a solid block. Unfortunately, the only paint accents on his chest is the Decepticon logo. You get a ton of accents on his arms and his legs, which is very nice to see. Of course, love seeing that. There was a slight controversy with this. Basically, the TF Wiki page shows a picture of a Rukus that wasn't stickered properly, and apparently the designers used that as a reference. Very weird, in my opinion, and I think they really should have done more research on that, but as unfortunate as that situation is, surprisingly it doesn't look too bland. Even with that, it's fine. It's unfortunate, but it's fine. The rest of him is pretty well painted, thankfully. Lovely, just white outline around gunmetal and teal. That's all metallic, and especially here where there's just lovely silver and teal accents here, and I mean even here on the back of the shoulders. Very good look, and of course you got the silver rims on the tires. He does have a very nice head sculpt as well. You've got the springs. This is on gunmetal, lined with white. It's not a flat like normal silver. It's like a silvery white. It's a very nice look. Of course, you got the gunmetal windshield here. I mean, he's a very colorful bot, even with the unpainted chunk here. Was expecting him to look a lot more bland, honestly. And thankfully, this is a cleaner bot with not much kibble, honestly. There's not much hollowness present other than the giant hollow gaps in his arms, which is unfortunate. The only real excuse I can give for it is his unnatural size. He's very large. And surprisingly, it doesn't feel cheap. It has a nice, solid feel, and he is actually large. Doesn't feel like you're getting scammed. Now, in terms of accessories, he does come with the lovely bumper gun, carried over from Beachcomber. He has it. It's a gun. Guys, just make the bumper part of the actual transformation, and don't bother with this. Give him an actual gun. Now, thankfully, this thing isn't his only piece of weaponry, and thank goodness, because this is just garbage. Thankfully, he does have another feature, which, if you notice here, these can actually flip up. And those flip up to be his shoulder guns. And these aren't like Crankcase, where they're tiny little shoulder guns that you can barely see. These are substantial. I very much dig this. I am so glad that they actually worked this into this remold. And these actually pull off on 5mm ports, so that if you want not only a cleaner profile, they also have handles on them. And that does mean that he in fact can dual wield his shoulder guns as proper guns, and like it doesn't look like a stupid bumper with a barrel stuck onto it. These actually look really nice, and they have some lovely detail work on them actually. Very much dig it, and they're not even hollow either. Glad they worked in that feature, and it kind of makes up for the fact that this is hollowed out. It's so nice not being stuck with a stupid bumper gun. And of course those can just plug back onto here. I am honestly rather impressed with this guy. For being just a remolded deluxe in a 2-pack, this is quite substantial. I can see why people very much were interested in this guy. Now, in terms of articulation, this guy's head is on a ball joint, but it can't look up or down much, if at all. But you can at least swivel it around. It's slightly hard to get to with all this stuff around him. The shoulders can go up and down about 180 because just clash into the kibble. Shoulders can go outwards about that far. The real limiting factor is the fact that when you have the arms outwards like this, you can't really move them out thanks to the tires clashing. Wish that they had thought about that. Anyways, the biceps have a swivel. He does have a 90-degree elbow joint, and he does have wrist swivels, but they are insanely tight, which, like, you need the gun basically to leverage twisting them. Because not only are they very tight, they are also just surrounded by all this kibble, so it's kind of hard to actually grasp them. The waist swivel is thankfully unrestricted. The legs, they can go up about 90 degrees. They can go back about 90 degrees. Pretty much as much range you really need, and these guns can, of course, move out of the way if you need them to. The legs also have a beautiful spread, as all figures should. He has a thigh swivel, and the knees, for some reason, they tab in. Not really sure why, but when they're straight, they tab in. When you untab them, you get a solid 90-degree bend, and he does have ankle tilts, though they're so high up that they kind of look like his shin is splitting. It's unfortunately just a side effect of doing this from Beachcomber, but that's alright. Overall, his articulation is fine. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible. And for size comparisons, Here they are with an average Generations Deluxe, which as you can see, they are pretty large next to him, including Rukus. And here they are next to a average Generations Voyager. And as you can see with Rukus here, they did a pretty darn good job of just upscaling what was initially a mini-bot into being an almost Voyager. I very much dig extensive remolds like this. Do more of this, please. And just for fun, here's Bludgeon with MMC's version of the Tarn mold. Now, for the transformations of both of these guys. And there you have both of them in their vehicle modes. Of course, Bludgeon just looks like Bludgeon. The chest is still frustrating, it's annoying, it just goes flying off if you do anything wrong during the transformation. Better than breaking, I guess, but still very annoying. The treads are very cool looking. They do have the nice dark green painted on all of the treads here. His hands do unfortunately still just peek out the back, but other than the hands, I think this is a pretty good alt mode, all things considered, even if it's just a Tarn retool. Now Rukus here is the real star, once again, with a very nice, very cool looking buggy. And unlike Beachcomber, it's a fully enclosed buggy, with the robot mode decaling carrying over into vehicle mode, nicely adding a very cool pop of color. The sculpt work of a nice roll cage going on throughout here, with all of the windows being actually painted gunmetal. You have the tires, which are painted out in silver and rubbery, which is very cool. Adds for very nice, very smooth rolling. You of course have the bumper, which annoyingly, very obvious that it's a gun flipped upside down thanks to that handle in bright beige. Even the guns, they just hide into the side, they kind of just look like a piece of the car. Guns have a very tiny little notch for your fingernail so that you can just pull them out. So you can have a buggy with guns. And those guns are blast effect compatible, by the way. The buggy mode is just awesome. I love this. Honestly, Rukus kind of just steals this 2-pack, really. Bludgeon is the much better action figure for just posing and messing around with. But this guy, yeah, he very much surprised me with how good he is, considering I didn't really have that much interest in Beachcomber, surprisingly. And once again, thanks to Rukus's weird, like, oversizing, kind of. Pretty much just as big as the Tarn mold is in tank mode. Again, very strange to see a deluxe be basically as large as a Voyager. It's a cool feeling, because it doesn't feel cheap, it just feels weird to have a deluxe this big. And there they are next to a Legacy Deluxe in alt mode. Overall, I think this is a pretty darn good 2-pack. It's very cool to see a deluxe like Rukus get so much remolding done to him on top of having an actual paint budget that it's very nice. It feels like a good, solid, old school figure. Now Bludgeon here, he's a bit more of a kind of release. He's good. He's good for the figure posing part of it. I dig his sculpt, and I dig the new face. That much I very much dig. This guy, despite being a Voyager, he should have a much higher budget. He kind of feels slightly cheaper, honestly, but as an action figure, he's pretty fun. I wouldn't really pick this setup for him, though. He's just, I mean, the mold is pretty widely available now, thankfully. You can probably just get the normal Bludgeon, but as a combined 2-pack, I think he's a good second figure, which is funny to say because usually the Voyager is much more interesting than the Deluxe in these 2-packs. But surprisingly, he kind of feels secondary to Rukus, which is kind of obvious by the fact that my camera doesn't even seem to want to focus on him anymore. But that's about it. Thank you for watching this review. Please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and all of that lovely stuff. Please feel free to check out my Instagram page where I post figures of Transformers just for fun. fun and sometimes actually have updates on reviews. But thank you for watching, and have a lovely day.